Ladies and gentlemen, any gentlemen in here? Ladies, make some noise. Oh, gentleman, for Donnie Mcclurkin. What up, man? See, I was wondering. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, man.
I would have got dressed up too.
No, I was saying to myself, come on, have a seat.
No, I would have got dressed up.
I was saying to myself, I was wondering if I needed to wear a blazer or not. But I'm glad that you did.
You got a full-blown suit on.
Well, you know, I'm trying to act like I'm saved, man. That's all.
A suit's gonna do it.
A suit puts you near the cross. All right. Right. Come on.
Then if that's the case, Donald Trump is saved.
Well, Donald don't wear no suit like this, though, Bishop. Okay, there you go. How you doing, man? You look good.
I'm doing fine, Katie. How you feeling, man?
I'm very well, man.
The voice.
Now, you've been doing this for a very long time, and you're approaching another decade of life, or have you already?
I've already approached it.
60 years old.
When last you saw me, I was in.
Y'all don't clap at all, do you? 60 years old? That's crazy, right?
I turned 60 on Saturday past.
Wow, man.
Turned 60 years old. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Nobody from the 60s Club even welcomed me yet. It's my first time. It's my first time. I didn't know it was so hard. My knees hurt. Everything's breaking down.
Really?
On my 60th birthday, I was running, and something hit me right here, in my gristle. And I had to stop running and say, "Oh, now this is how it starts." You know?
Oh man. So you've had, not only have you been doing it for a very long time, but you've had some extreme success in your ministry.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this: what would the 60-year-old version of you? Two questions. What would the 60-year-old Donnie Mcclurkin say to the 10-year-old Donnie Mcclurkin and to the 25-year-old Donnie Mcclurkin?
Well, the 6-year-old would tell the 10-year-old, it's going to get better, because I was raped 3 times in one night at 8, and so there was a broken cycle that I would tell the 10-year-old, hold on. It gets better, it heals, and there's help. I would tell him that. So this way he'd have the faith and the strength to go through all of the different psychological cycles, sexual, emotional, social cycles that were activated at 8 years old, when an 8-year-old had no mechanism to deal with that kind of atrocity. Yeah. I would have counseled and walked him through and told him, hold on, you're going to lose your hair, but hold on. To the 25-year-old,
yeah.
I would tell the 25-year-old, I can't use the N-word, Jesus. Negro, finish school. What is wrong with your mind?
Wow.
Go back and finish school.
Wow.
Because I quit school when I was 18 because I was bullied. And I would tell myself, go back, get your degree, get your doctorate, get hooded. English major, get hooded. You studied Shakespeare all that time just for what? For music? Please forget it. There'll be a Kirk Franklin. Get music. I mean, get your degree. That's what I tell 25.
Yeah, you wouldn't just kind of go back and just tell them, hey, there's a karate school right on the corner over there. Just learn how to kind of learn some karate. And
no, because then I would have been a bully myself.
And then there's that.
Yeah, because I would have paid everybody back for all of the ridicule, ostracization, the abuse, all of the mockery. I would have been Bruce Lee on the dark side.
But Kung Fu, like Kung Fu teaches you patience and stuff, so you would have been fine.
I wouldn't be learning it for patience. I'd be learning to see how I can karate chop until they're paralyzed on the left side.
Wow, okay, all right.
I would be, finish it.
Finish him, okay. So you've had extreme amount of success in doing what you do. What do you attribute that to? I mean, you can say the favor of God, okay, mm-hmm. and I agree with that.
Yeah.
Gifting, I would agree with that. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of people that have the favor of God. There are a lot of artists today that have the gifting. Mm-hmm. You've done this. You and a select few have done this for a very long time and have had extreme success with it. What do you attribute it to?
Favor of God and gifting. Because the two of them combined, the two of them joined together, brings you to the point of success.
But other people have the same thing, though.
Well, and I can't attribute anything to anybody else. I can only tell you from my vantage point, because I never wanted to do this, never thought I could do this, because insecurity was my format. Fear was my format.
Really?
You know. Oh, yeah. I was never good enough. I was never strong enough. I was never talented enough. My voice was never nice enough. I always had a negative aspect to me. That's just the way I was. That's the way I was raised. You know, you come home and, Daddy, I did this. Why couldn't you get an A? Why you got a B? So it was always, my father never told me he was proud of me until I was 45. That was on national television with Bishop Jakes. And we're sitting there having a Father's Day thing on TBN. And for the first time, in literally, not one day in 45 years. And he said it, and I broke down like I was 5. And I cried because it was never good enough. There was nothing ever sturdy enough, nothing ever successful enough. And that became my mode of thought. And I had to convince myself through the grace of God that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, boy. That every gift that you have comes from God. That you made it through your fears, through your brokenness, through the rape. You've made it through. You are sitting on the top of the hill because you found out through hard struggle you are good enough. And that's what I try to portray to everybody else now. I don't care what you've been through. You've got to believe that who you are has existed and has maintained and has survived because there's a divine purpose for you. And I don't care if you're 6 or 76. If you haven't reached that pinnacle yet, continue until you see it happen.
So, in the Bible, I thought it was a bit of an inconsequential scripture, which, of course, there are no inconsequential scriptures in the Bible, when Jesus was being baptized. And then God, his heavenly Father from heaven, said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased."
Right.
There is something about a father's affirmation to his children, specifically his sons. How did you make it to 45, my brother, and didn't, what was that?
Because, in our black homes, we are taught that no matter what happens, you respect your parents.
Okay.
I respected Francis and Donald no matter what happened. Through the drug years, through the alcoholic years, through the physical abusive years.
Even when they weren't respectable.
At their lowest. At their lowest.
Wow, man.
I never spoke back to my mother or father, ever.
Really?
Never once raised my voice or opinion against my mother and father. And so that respect level, regardless to his alcoholism, his abuse with my mother, regardless to my mother's drug addictions, regardless to my mother's physical, violent temperament, regardless to the cussing and the drinking and the carrying on, regardless to the Panama Red and Acapulco Gold and the PCP, regardless to all of that.
You knew all of that.
Because they had to, because that was my family. They sold the drugs from the house.
I see.
And regardless to all that, they were still mom and dad. So that when their lives changed and my mother went into ministry or back into ministry and my father was a great head deacon studying the Bible, then you could look at them and still keep that reverence because you went through the hell of it with them. And now that you've seen them transform, my God, you embrace them all the more. So at 45, God says, I will restore to you the years that the palmer worm and the cankerworm and the caterpillar and the locust destroyed. He said, I'm going to give you those years back. So on a Father's Day in 2005, God sits a man down and says, I'm proud of my son. And it makes up for everything that's ever been done. And when we finished, we went to the car, and he turned to me. And he's just standing there. I said, Daddy, what's wrong? And I came up to him because he wouldn't move. And he just grabbed me.
Wow.
And with my arms at my side, grabbed me and lifted me up and just squoze me. And I said, Daddy, you got to let me go. I can't breathe. And then, because his hands were deformed. His hands were always cupped like this. Okay. And they were webbed together. And that's where I get my webbing from, is from my father.
Okay, you just threw me off right then.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. So you can really swim.
I can't swim a lick.
Oh, Lord. Okay, wow.
What a statement to make.
I didn't know. Hey, I thought about Aquaman. It was you were throwing me off. I was impressed.
And he took his hand, he cupped his hand,
Yeah.
and he just patted my face.
Oh, man. Wow.
And we never spoke about it again even to his passing. The next act of love that my father showed was a week before his passing. It was a week before his passing. And I'm not going to cry. And
You say that all the time, and you end up crying anyway, right?
I know she's looking for a tissue right now. She's looking for a tissue right now. And he was in the hospital because he had a minor surgery. And I said, Daddy, I gotta go to Africa. I'll be back next week. He was down in South Carolina. I'll be back next week. And I went to kiss his head. And he grabbed me by my chin and by my top of my head. And just started rubbing my head and said, now, Father God, I want you to protect him as he travels hither and yon. A good Baptist prayer. Hither and yon. And then he kissed me. And I was like, whoa, what's just happened here? I'll see you next week. And he said, well, maybe.
Really?
And then the next week he was gone.
He was gone. Wow. Wow, man.
And those are the things, because I kept my respect for my father. I seen him high and low, so that when he finally made his mark, he was the workingest man you ever wanted to meet, though. Wow. That man had 2 full-time jobs.
Okay.
Him and my mother had 10 headed children. And Christmas time came in 1970 to 73. The first 3 of us, he would give $100 to each Christmas.
Really?
$100 in 73 to a 10-year-old boy.
Really?
Man, you couldn't tell me my daddy wasn't rich. You couldn't tell me my daddy wasn't rich.
Yeah, man.
And all the rest of them, he gave $50 a piece.
Okay.
Yeah, he never exemplified any outward displays of affection. He wasn't a hugger. He wasn't a guy that gives you compliments. He just worked.
You think that pathology, I'm sure you know, came from his parents and not the hugging and not
His father never did it with him.
So the first time did he kiss you on the forehead?
No, when we were kids, my mother would make him kiss us every night. We would have a good night review.
Wow. A good night review?
Yeah, all of the kids would stand in front of them as they sat in their chairs, and we would sing. Good night, do-wop, 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 good night to you, my one. Good night to
Did the hand
you.
like that? Okay.
Good night to you. Good night to you. Good night to you. And then after we finished, every kid had to walk past from the oldest to the youngest.
Oh, wow, man.
Kiss both of them in the mouth. And I always hated
In the mouth? Ew.
Yeah. I always hated. Now, you can kiss mommy in the mouth.
That's different, yeah.
Kissing daddy in the mouth is always so juicy. It's like, oh. Oh. But that was our, up until 8 years old, that was our nightly routine.
I just go back to this one piece here. The respect that you had for your parents, when they weren't respectable per se, where'd you get that from? Because that had to be taught.
It was taught. So you're making me go back. I'm going to finish this book that I wrote about 15 years ago.
Okay.
I couldn't finish it because everybody was still alive.
Oh, so you talking.
But because the things are so sensitive. My mother was born of rape. My mother was born of rape. My grandmother was raped from 1930 to 1932, from 10 years old to 12 years old. She was raped from 1930 to 1932 by her stepfather. And her mother never stopped it. And at 12 years old, she was impregnated in Harlem, New York. And the church world was very not understanding. And had the baby at 13 and never, ever told the child that she was her mother. My great-grandmother told her, that's your sister, that's your oldest sister. Until she was 16, a sophomore in high school, she thought that was her oldest sister. And they sat her down in her sophomore year, almost a grown woman, and told her, that's not your sister, that's your mother. And these are not your sisters and brothers. These are your aunts and uncles. And it destroyed my mother.
Yeah, I know it did.
But she never lost respect for her mother.
Okay. All right.
And she never met her father ever. Because when they would see him on the street, they would pick her up and run away. And she never got a chance to know him. And there was no matriarch in the home at all.
What were they running from?
Because the rapist was, her father was her step-grandfather.
Okay, I get it. Oh, man.
And they didn't want her to know.
I get it.
Because she didn't know that her mother was raped. Because she didn't know that was her mother.
I get it.
It's a long story. But it taught me respect. My mother, we were the only ones my mother would talk to about that. We were our mother's salvation. Her children were her salvation. My mother was a singer. My mother was a piano player. My mother was gifted. My mother was a preacher. But she was so broken that her children became her only hope.
Yeah.
Her children became her salvation. And she taught us how to sing. And she gave us everything that she could not do. She gave it to us. She gave me the gift of music, of piano. The whole 9 yards. Greatest fan. I was the greatest singer in the world. Nobody sang better than me. Everybody else was, oh no, you're the best singer. You're the greatest singer in the world. Who cares? Marvin Winans, no, you're the greatest singer in the world.
She said that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, come on.
Whoever it was. Oh no, you're the greatest singer in the world. She was the greatest cheerleader in the world.
Oh man.
But she had a bipolar side. Okay. And then she would become the most ferocious woman.
That's what you meant earlier when you said that.
And she'd become the most ferocious woman with her kids and her husband, because there was so much unhealed in her, so many open wounds that she didn't get rectified until she passed. And my grandmother didn't get you couldn't talk to my grandmother about, my grandmother just died 2 years ago. You couldn't talk to Nana about what happened. She would go into a rage. Now you're 97 years old, but you're still stuck at 10. Because wherever you get broken, you're stuck there. If you got broken at 15, no matter how many years you've accumulated, there's a broken part of you stuck at 15. Wow. And really, I learned from their brokenness not to live there.
Okay.
Not to live there and not to judge them by it.
Very good. Hey, man, who told you you could sing? I mean,
Hey!
Who told you, who said, yo, you, other than your mom.
Yeah, I was going to say Francis.
But you got something outside your house.
Well,
The first person, because everybody say it now, but I'm saying the first person.
Everybody. Because, in church, they're so gracious in church. Even if you can't sing. All right, sing, baby. Oh,
wait.
Ain't that so sweet? That's right, sing.
Hey, Donnie, which song did you sing in church that you just slayed everybody? And you had to walk up to the mic. You already know I'm about to tear this thing all the way up.
Never to this very day.
You didn't lead a song in church?
I led songs, but I never thought, I'm about to slam.
Okay, what did they say you were slaying?
Huh?
What did they say you were slaying?
Anything, because I said the church is very gracious. Even when I couldn't sing. Baby, that's all right. You just keep on singing. That's right, baby. And at 18, I sang a solo in church. And I was so nervous, and the mic was shaking like this.
Really?
I sang His Eyes on the Sparrow. And I sang it, and my pants legs were like wind was blowing.
Really?
And Mother Reba Cummings came up and said, boy, you keep on singing. Donnie, boy, you keep on singing. And that was the first time that I got that okay from somebody outside the house.
Everybody call you Donnie Boy or just her?
No, she did.
Okay. What did they call you growing up?
Destructive demon.
No, they didn't. Did they really?
Destructive devil and rebellious demon.
Really? I know these.
Because I was mischievous. Oh, I wasn't what I was. I'm not what I was. I was. I can't even tell you some things, but I'm going to put it in the book. Oh my God! Oh my God! I blew up an airplane once, but that's another story.
Whoa!
Yeah, that went over. Everybody said they didn't even hear it. I'll keep on talking. But, destructive devil and rebellious devil.
That's tough.
Because whatever they would give me, a toy or watch, I would always take it apart. Yeah. And my grandma would say, "You destructive devil." Wow. And that was a running line.
Oh, my goodness.
And then in church, they called me rebellious demon because I would question everything. Yeah. I was church God in Christ. I would question everything.
I was church God in Christ, too.
Why can't we go to the movies? And
what they say?
Because it's sitting in the seat of scornful. And I made a mistake at 15 of saying, "Well, you can't ride the bus because you sitting in somebody's scornful been sitting on that bus seat."
Right.
And that's when I gained the name Rebellious Devil.
Rebellious Devil. Oh, wow.
And so I had to ask that question until I turned 18 because you couldn't really get an answer until you were 18.
Really?
Until you paid tithes and was 18.
Yeah, well, then there's that.
And so 18, in the business meeting, and they would not call me. And I just kept my hand up until finally, what? What do you have to add? I said, now, can we get back to why we can't go to the movies?
Right.
And why we can't go bowling?
And wear red, open-toe shoes.
And why can't we play gym in school?
Wow.
Why can't we go to the movies? Because there's a sin and seed of scornful. I said, I know. And they smoke in the movies. They don't smoke in the matinees. And they curse in the movies. They don't curse watching Disney.
Right.
And then mother come and said, "But there's a wicked witch." And that's when I realized that, I'm going to be a rebellious devil.
I'm going to go ahead and let y'all have that.
For the rest of my life, I'm going to be a rebellious devil.
So one final thing about your style, like who were you trying to sound like?
Andre Crouch.
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted.
Mixed with Walter Hawkins.
That's what I wanted. Wow. That's what I wanted.
I said that loudly because those were my mentors. Ed and Walter and Andre were God blessed me to be a fan from 9 years old to friend to really associated with them. Wow. And I never knew that God was going to do such a wonderful thing. Our hallelujah. I got the gift of music from Francis and a man named Andre Crouch, who laid his hand on my head.
Yes, tell me about that.
I was 11 years old in October of 1971. And he came to our church in Jamaica, Queens, Bethel Gospel Tabernacle. And I was begging my mother, "Can we please go?" It was a Tuesday night. "Can we please go? Can we please go?" And she took me, and he sang. I sat next to his sister. I was on the front row. Sat next to Sister Sandra before they sang, and I kept looking at her. And she said, "Hey, little guy," I said, "You're not saved."
Oh.
And she said, "Well," I said, "because you got on makeup and pants.
Right.
You're not saved." I was 11 years old.
You didn't know.
That's what they told me. You can't wear no makeup in the church.
That's right.
Half y'all sitting in there right now, but you're on your way to hell. And Andre sang. I sang every song because I knew every song. Yeah. He went into the pastor's office, and I said, "Mommy, can I just wait to meet him?" And everybody was gone. They turned all the lights off in the church, one light over the pulpit.
Wow.
And she said, "Donnie, you got to go to school." I said, "I promise I'm going to go," like I had a choice.
Right.
But I promise I'm going to go. And she saw something. And she said, "Okay, go ahead, but you're not going to stay long." "Yes, ma'am." And I sat on the front row right in front of the pastor's door. Door opened up, Andre came up. He said, "Hey, little guy, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm waiting for you." He said, "Well, how old are you?" I said, "I'm 11. He said, and he's talking to an 11-year-old boy. "Are you born again?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I got born again when I was 9. I said, "Me too." He said, "Well, do you sing or play?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, I didn't sing or play until I was 11, and my father laid hands on me." He said, I said, "I'm 11. I said, "But my father can't pray for me because he's not saved." He said, "Do you mind if I pray for you?" Wow. And he laid his hands. Y'all trying to make me cry. And he laid his hands on my head and prayed a simple prayer. "God, give him what you gave to me." Oh, and that's when it was transferred. Pastor Winans teaches if the anointing is genuine, it's two things. It's tangible and it's transferable. Yes. Moses to Joshua, Elijah to Elisha, Jesus to the disciples. It's transfer, and he transferred what God gave him, that God gave to his daddy, to me. And then the gift of music rose up, and singing became a part of my life. And then I started learning how to play the piano, and the music started becoming. Then I started writing songs, and that's how all of this happened. Walter, because his voice was so incredible. Edwin, because he was a trailblazer and a rebellious devil too.
It was just smooth with it, though. I told him.
Man, they had that concholine hair.
Right.
They looked like, pretty boys. And they sang, and the songwriting, and the 5-part harmonies. And that enthralled me.
Yeah.
And so it was Andre's musicality and Walton Ed's vocality that made who I am today.
Very good. Okay, so
I'm
we're
sorry,
talk
I'm doing all this talking to you.
No, you're good. This is exactly what I need. So we're going to talk about this this project, a different song. Why did you call it a different song? First of all,
let me
throw
look
this out
at it,
there.
because I ain't never seen this before today.
Are you serious?
Ain't never seen this before
Well,
today.
let's talk about it. Y'all, look at it. Let's talk about it, because I'm looking at this suit. I'm looking at just the color coordination.
I can't look at nothing till I put these on.
What were you looking at on the ground? They're down there smiling, looking down at the floor. What's down there?
Halle Berry.
Okay, come on.
I was looking at it saying, I'll be with you in a minute.
This is good, man. Look, he kind of cut up over there too, like a little gun over there, sir.
Yeah, a gun. I got one gun. I'm working on all of them. At 60, I'm going to have a body. I just got my braces off 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to put veneers on, and I'm going to get injections.
Okay.
No, I'm not playing. I'm not getting injections.
Hey, I'm going to say, you like it, I love it. Hey, do your thing.
No, but I'm
Say
working.
something.
Working
If you have the catalog that you have and you've done the things that you've done, I think you can do whatever it is you want to do.
No, I cannot.
Well, I say that.
I cannot put a lace front on, and I cannot do injections.
I'm not messing with you today.
If I come in there with a head full of hair, somebody just snatch it off and send me home and tell somebody to please help me.
But a different song. What is a different song?
It's exactly that. It is literally. These songs are songs that were birthed out of dreams. Just about every one of these songs were birthed out of dreams. And except for Pour My Praise, that was birthed on the drive to the airport. But they were, and the Lord called them coritas. And corita in Spanish is little choruses, little choruses. And each of these are like sing songs where people can sing along with you. There is God. And when we did this at TBN, the whole place just sang. It was remarkable. And so these are different type of songs. They're not the type of songs like Stand or Speak to My Heart or We Fall Down. But they're not like that. It's just little coritas that God gave me that drives everybody. It funnels everybody back to the one God. It doesn't deal with pain. There's a song I wrote, I don't want to sing about the pain anymore. Only want to sing about the one I adore. Yeah. Dedicate my life to him. Be a sacrifice for him. All to the glory of God. It all funnels everybody back to the one God. To the one entity. It takes all the attention off of me and puts it all on him. The whole entire project is geared like that.
And it's a different song.
Yeah.
How is it different from what you have done before?
Like I said, it's not complex. It's not profound.
I don't think none of your stuff is really complex.
Well, you're going to the what do you do when you're done? Oh, that's my Kimberell riff. Oh, you can. And it's more philosophical. It's the philosophy behind it. Yeah. This is not philosophical at all. This is simplistic. There's no profundity to it. Words on the wings of the morning, the dark night. But that's romantic. This is not that. This is straight to the point. Okay. There is no question. There is no question. There is no question. Christ is Lord. Simplistic songs.
Yeah, man. Well, I know you gotta run, man. But I'm
Anybody
grateful.
got any questions?
I'm grateful for you being here, and we want to open the floor just for a few questions if you have some.
Well, your question is, come on, you got to come up here and ask your question so I can hear you on the radio.
Hey, that's good. People don't do that. Thank you, sir.
I'm trying to look out for my peepers. Trying to look out for my peepers. What?
I would like for you to just do a little portion of Not Yet, because that song saved me when I was in the hospital getting ready for surgery.
Amen. Amen. Thought it was the end this time. God said, not yet. Thought that I would lose my mind. God said, not yet. When I think about my yesterday, this is going too far. She's actually hugging me.
You went around serenading, looking people in their eyes and stuff. That's what you get.
That's it. I just don't want to be a part of the Me Too movement.
All right, come on. That's good stuff. So no more portions of songs. So we're gonna do that. Okay, we got a question.
Hi,
What is your name?
I'm Betty.
Hi, Betty.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Can I get a hug?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna say something to you, Donnie Mcclurkin, in your face.
Amen.
But my question is your position on Kirk Franklin and the Word Station and this whole controversy. I'd like to know.
You mean the Dove, the Dove networks?
Yes.
Dove TV, TBN, yes. Okay.
And if you want to answer on one other question, I'm wondering what you think about
Kanye, of
exactly.
Kirk Franklin and the Doves and TBN. I think that there are some things that we need to discuss behind closed doors. I think sometimes because of the nature of the listener, they don't understand the true dynamics of what's taking place. And people take side and they start to scream the negative loudly, racism, this, and they miss the point that Kirk was trying to make as they jump to the side based on the temperature and the climate of America today, which is so divided, the most divided in decades. So we draw sides without knowing the full story. But, Kirk Franklin has the power and the platform to sit down and to bring attention to some situations that will cause some reformation and resolve. And that's what I believe is happening through this. But it's going to happen as we sit at the table together. It's going to happen as we sit as brothers and sisters, TBN, the GMA, and all of us sit as brothers and sisters and discuss the true dynamics of what's happened and make sure that we clarify and come out as a united front after the discussion to thus clear up any discrepancies of how Kirk's video was taken. There comes a point where you've got to make your point. There comes a point where you've got to make your point. But all points have got to be taken into consideration as well.
I think one of the challenges and the reason why they take it publicly is because you have conversations on the back end and they don't do what they say they're going to do. Because Kirk had that conversation with them before, and he said, hey, they said we're not going to do that again, and they did it again.
But see, again, there are reasons why that they were done, and it didn't really lend itself to racism. Because remember, I'm connected to all 3 points of the triangle. I'm connected to TBN, I'm connected to GMA, I'm connected to my brother. And there are certain things that cannot be, unless you sit on the camera and tell the whole entirety of it, which you don't have enough time to do, then people jump to their conclusions when they miss Kirk's point. They will hear something and say, up, racism, up. And what he's trying to do is bring attention to something and bring a remedy.
Did you call him?
Yeah, immediately.
Okay.
My thumbs start working immediately.
What'd you say?
Texting. I'm not going. I would never divulge that.
I sure want to know though.
But and the bottom line is, and I talked to GMA.
Okay.
And I talked to TBN. But the bottom line is, I understand everybody's point.
Then you could probably have mediated that to where it would never have mushroomed the way it did.
No. Some things have to come to a head.
I agree.
Have to come to a head.
I agree with
and
you.
I trust all 3 parties. Okay. And this is a brother-sister situation. And the video was really meant for the brothers. It was meant for the Christian body.
I see.
It wasn't meant
Brothers
for
and sisters.
CNN. It wasn't meant for the secular world to see.
The muddies.
You know?
The waters get muddy.
Yeah, and he did that to bring attention to the community as to what was going on.
Okay. One more question, then we're gonna gotta run.
Come on. They can't see you. They got to hear you.
Hi, my name is
Hi.
Danielle. My name is Danielle. I'm from Long Island.
From Long Island.
And I had the pleasure of meeting and being your sister Olivia's nurse in 2004,
Wonderful. Yes.
right after her mastectomy.
Yes, ma'am.
I was her visiting nurse,
Yes.
and she's a wonderful woman.
Well, she's in heaven.
Yes.
What part of Long Island are you from?
Well, I'm from Hempstead. My church is in Amityville.
What's your church name?
Hollywood Baptist.
Reverend Luda.
Luder, Bishop Andy Luder.
My God.
Bishop Luda. Oh, preaching machine.
Bishop Luda's father was my pastor. Was my father's pastor.
My husband was one of the ministers in Hollywood Baptist Church under Bishop Luder.
You said is or was?
Well, he was my husband, but he still is.
He likes the information.
I'm just saying because the way you slanked up to that microphone,
Yeah,
I was
he
like,
was, but
okay,
he's
well,
still
your
a-
husband. I hope he don't see this because
He's
this
still a
is
minister, but he's not.
he's not
longer my
yours.
husband.
Okay, you available?
No, I don't date.
Jesus is
Well,
just
how you
okay.
gonna get married again?
I'm not sure I want to.
Do you see this man of God asking you about this?
I'm not sure I want to. I'm really in a good place.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. Okay.
Amen.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. Thank you.
But if you ever get Halle Berry's telephone number, hook a brother up. Just hook him up.
Okay.
Hook him up.
Hey, make some noise for Donnie Mcclurkin. Love you, man.
Thank you.